A rebelled soldier says, let's be honest, with the way AAA titles have been released, not much hope in my heart. Trying to remain positive and hopeful, but it's getting hard. So think about this for a second, rebelled soldier. Think about this. Seriously, no, and I mean this. And I'm not necessarily trying to convince you, but this is the way I look at it. Think about the fact that this game has only ever been AA, right? You'd say this is a AA game. You wouldn't say it's an indie game, right? You would say, and you wouldn't necessarily say it's a AAA game. And I get your fears because a lot of AAA games have been launching, and I do cover a lot of AAA games on another channel. They've been launching and they haven't lived up to the hype. And I totally get that fear. But think about the fact that this game is AA. Now, what happens is you have an increased budget with the original team that has come up with a lot of the same organic concepts that you see in this game you don't see anywhere else. And then you factor in that same team now has the ability to add, or has now, this has already happened, added a lot more people with more experience to create a game within their vision of things that they've always wanted to make with State of Decay 3. So I get your fears, and I think the only way that would come, this game, the State of Decay 3 would come to be a disappointment is if you start to set your expectations too high. That's why I was talking about what I said earlier, where if State of Decay 3 ended up being an Unreal Engine improved version of this, where we get the relationship system, which we saw coming, we get, you know, the AI going to be a lot smarter, more mechanics in regards to survival. And I think you're going to see that because they're going to be implementing wildlife. If you're going to implement wildlife, the wildlife has got to be used in some way. You're not just like, I don't think all the, like, I can't see them implementing wildlife into the game and all of them are all infected and there's never any like non-infected wildlife. I don't see that happening. So they're going to implement that. So if the game is a refresh of that and all the things above, I think I would be pretty happy. This game has so much potential, State of Decay 2, and it's been unrealized because they've been constrained by the fact that they are a AA studio who has never had AAA monetary backing behind them like they do with Microsoft. So I would say, if anything, be more hyped. You know what I'm saying? Be more hyped because the same team is still there. The same core team who's brought a lot of what you enjoy with this one. And now they have a lot more resources at their disposal. So for me, it's like complete opposite. I am not worried at all about the AAA labeling, and I've seen a lot of people mention that. Rebel Soldier, that's fair. Cyberpunk 2077 was so bad and still putting 130 hours in. See, and Cyberpunk didn't come from roots like this game is. That's why for me, I don't have as much fear about this game because this game is coming from roots that are organic and big. And in my opinion, they really got this game much more improved from State of Decay 1 because I personally beat and completed State of Decay 1. I did every single mode, but the game didn't, like, I love the game, but it didn't stick with me like this one has. This one for me stuck more. And so for me, it's an improvement. I know some people will say they probably like the first one more, but Icarus says it is in all Microsoft interest to allow Cyberpunk type of launch. And that's another thing that I didn't even mention. And I tend to do this. I read one sentence, I don't read the rest. But I just want to say Microsoft is 1000% needing for their own IPs, their own studios to really make big marks. And one of the reasons, or one of the ways you see that is because State of Decay 2 is still getting support years later because they're trying to keep the hype up. So they're giving money to improve this game to make sure, like, you can tell they're wanting to really invest. So it's not in their interest to kind of release a crappy State of Decay 3. They really need to start to compete a little better with, you know, the PlayStations of the world and their exclusives. So State of Decay is like a marquee franchise. This game itself is so big, State of Decay 2, it's got so many players playing it. It's not in their interest to kind of give a half-baked game. The only thing that I think that might happen that people are not going to be happy about, who are root players of the State of Decay franchise, is I really think they're going to implement an online portion of the game, and I don't know how that's going to look exactly. And I could see the multiplayer being set up in a way people are not going to like. So that's the only thing, but I still fully expect them to keep the core concept of the sandbox single player because it's really one of the only games doing it in this type of quality, because you have games like Project Zomboid that you can play on your own, but that doesn't have this type of quality in the AA sense. That's like an indie game, right?